So guys, what I'm going to do is for these 4 questions here, these are expanding questions. So if I can get you guys to just try these 4, I'll give you guys a couple of minutes to try it out. And then I will go through the answers, full worked answers. So your guys' test on Friday, it's pretty much going to be in this kind of formatting. Okay? So with the first one, we're talking about expanding. All right, with expanding, all you're doing is literally just multiplying those 2 things there. So you got 2x times x. That's going to be 2x squared. And then 2x times 5. That's going to be 10x. All right, in terms of marks, you guys, I think it could be like they're 1 mark each, these questions. Let me just check. Yep, they're 1 mark each. And some questions have 2 marks, but this one would be a 1 mark question. All right, the second one, we've got to expand these expand this bracket first. So we've got 5x, and then 5 times negative 3 is negative 15. And then you got negative 2 times x and negative 2 times 3. Now this is where I see people making mistakes because they forget to see the negative symbol there. So this ends up negative 2x, and then negative 2 times 3 is negative 6. So at this point, you need to combine your like terms. So you got 5x minus 2x, that's going to be 3x. And then you've got, I want a different highlighter. Can I have a different highlighter? No, that's fine. Just use this. And then you got the 2 numbers which you need to put together, which is going to be negative 21. Okay? As for C, you're dealing with a quadratic. Now, expanding a quadratic, you would have done this last year with FOIL. It could be FOIL method. It could be like a table method. Whatever method you choose, I don't care, as long as the answer, the final answer is what I'm looking for. Okay? So in this one, we've got x times x, which equals x squared. And then x times minus 5x, so it's going to be negative 5x. 3 times x, 3x. And then 3 times negative 5, which is negative 15. So at this point, combining your like terms, starting to realize how small that space is. You're going to get x squared minus 2x minus 15. All right. As for the last one there, the most common mistake I've seen people do is they write this as x squared plus y squared. Now, if you're that person that actually did this, you're actually wrong. Okay? Because anytime you see a squared symbol, get into the habit of writing it, especially with brackets, get into the habit of writing it like this, x plus y times x plus y. Okay? Once you do that, then it's just simple kind of expanding. So you got x times x, which is x squared, x times y, which is xy, y times x, which is also going to be xy. I mean, we can write it as yx, but remember, writing yx and xy is the same thing. Okay? And finally, we've got y times y, which is y squared. Now, in this case, these are your 2 like terms. So you add them up together. You got x squared plus 2xy plus y squared. Okay, any questions on that one? Or is that fairly straightforward? All right, we will try the next lot of questions, all right, which is factorizing. All right, so this is factorized questions, guys. This is going backwards, putting them back into brackets. I'm going to give you guys about 3 to 4 minutes for this one. And remember, I will actually upload this video for you guys to watch later on as well with these questions, so you can go home and practice them again. Okay, so looking at the first problem here, I've got 20 and 32. I kind of just go, well, which times table does that number comes in? For me, it's 4. So I could actually take 4 out, and that would become 5x minus 8, because I can't actually factorize it any further, because 5 and 8, there's no common factors between them. All right, that's number 1. Number 2, you've got to work through each of the elements. So first I'm going to do the numbers. Looking at the numbers, I've got 18 and 45. Well, the common factor in that case is 9. So I'm going to take out 9. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to open up the brackets like this. Okay, because I know that 9 times 2 is 18. So that's going to be a 2 there. I'm going to move this 9 a bit further here. So let me do that again. And I know that 9 times 5 is 45. So I'm going to put that 5 there. Okay? Now if I look at the m squared, so the first one, in this case it's m squared, in this case is m. So if you look at m squared and m, what's the lowest common factor? It's actually going to be m. So then I can write this as m and m there. Does that make sense? Because if I do 9m times 2m, I should get 18m squared. But if I do 9m times 5, I should get 45m. Then I look at what n is. See, n, there's only one n in the first term, but there's 3 of them. So I'm going to leave n outside and n squared in the final term there. Do we need more help with that type of question, or was that a bit more, was it all right? If you need more questions like that, please let me know. I can put a little asterisk and I can just create some on the side that you guys can go and try later on. Okay, can I go to question 2c? Okay, 2c, we have a quadratic. Because it's a quadratic, it's going to have 2 brackets. Basically, what we're looking for is, we're looking for 2 numbers that multiply to 12 and add up to minus 8. Okay? So 2 numbers that multiply to 12 and it also has to add up to 8. So in this case, it's going to be negative 6 and negative 2, because when you multiply it, you get 12. But when you add them together, you actually end up with negative 8. So the 2 factors are x minus 6, x minus 2. Okay? You don't have to do this part in the box here. You can go directly from here to here. Okay? If you do problems like that on a regular basis, you'll know like what 2 numbers multiply to 12 and add up to negative 8. Kind of just get used to the idea. Now as for this question, 2D. Okay, x squared minus 64. I've seen people do this. Okay, if you do that, sorry guys, you're incorrect. Because this question here, I'm going to do it at the bottom here, can be written as x squared minus 64 can be written as x squared minus 0x minus 64. So you're looking for 2 numbers that multiply to minus 64 and adds up to 0. So in this case, x minus 8 and x plus 8. It's called difference of 2 squares. All right. So you're always going to have, like, if you ever get a question like this, it's the numbers are going to be the same, but the signs are going to be different. So if I give you another example like this, so say if it's like x squared minus 25, then this would be x plus 5 and x minus 5. And if I say x squared minus y squared, for example, then this would be x plus y and then x minus y. Okay? So that's given you a bit of a hint to try and do question E, but I'll write up question E again here. It was 9a squared minus 25b squared. Did anybody try this one? You can't factorize it? Are you sure about it? Look at all these numbers, square numbers. Is 9 a square number? Is 25 a square number? A squared a square number? B squared a square number? So can't you then rewrite this as 3a minus 5b, 3a plus 5b? Does that make sense? Because they're all square numbers, right? is the question like this, which is factorizing a quadratic, but the a value is bigger than 2. Now, how many of you guys are comfortable doing this? Okay, kinda, semi-comfortable. Now, I got two options here. Now, because you guys can't actually use a graphics calculator, I can show you a formula, but you'll have to remember the formula. But the good thing about this formula is that this formula will always be useful for you going into level 2 maths, going into level 3 calculus, and so on. Would you like to learn it? If you memorize the formula, anytime you get this, it'll always work. Otherwise, it ends up being a guess and check mode all the time. Okay, now I know it said this is kind of like revision kind of stuff, but basically what you're trying to do is you're trying to factorize this, right? You're trying to factorize this into 2 brackets. Now, one, you can do guess and check. You can say, well, I know that there's going to be an x here, and I know that there's going to be an x here. I also know that these 2 numbers here, whatever these 2 numbers are, they're going to multiply to -4. Is that correct? Because that's the last number. And I know that whatever the coefficient of x and whatever this coefficient of x is, they multiply to be 2x squared. Now the problem is with this becomes a guessing game, okay? Because I say to people, like, you know, when you figure that out, then these are the possible combinations you can have. You could have 2x, shouldn't have done that, and x, or it could look like this, x and 2x. And then as for the -4, you've got lots of combinations that could be -4, because you've got -1 times 4, you've got +1 times -4, you've got +2 times -2. So basically, you got to try and, this becomes a game of guess and check. You know, it's like, it's going to take you a while. Okay, that's one way to do it. If you're unsure, guess and check. Use this method to guess and check. The second method I'm going to show you guys is the partial factorizing. So what you do is you start off with this. You take the 2 and multiply with the -4, and you end up with -8. So what you do is you look for 2 numbers that multiply to -8, but the same 2 numbers has to add up to -7, which is there. Okay, so we're looking for 2 numbers that multiply to -8 and adds up to -7. Guessing and checking, we know that that's -8 and +1, -8 and +1. Now guys, this is a different method, and I'm going to show you another method as well. So what we can do is we're going to separate the -7x into -8x plus 1x minus 4. So all I've done is I've literally split that -7x as -8x plus 1x. So now what I need to do is I need to split this up into 2 parts. And I factorize the right-hand side and I factorize the left-hand side. So looking at 2x squared minus 8x. If I want to factorize this, I can see 2x is a common factor. So that's going to be x minus 4. And then on this side, I've got just x minus 4. But I can take out 1 as a common factor. Because what you want to try and do is you want to make sure that this bracket is the same as this bracket here. Once you do that, you can write x minus 4 and whatever is left over, which is 2x plus 1. So the x minus 4 is the blue bracket. Now that's the second way of doing this. And I'm going to show you the third way, which is my favorite one, because I believe that if you learn this particular formula, this will help you with every problem leading up to level 3. Guys, I will be sharing this notes and this whiteboard. I'm going to share it with you. And the video I'll share with you as well. So you don't need to take any pictures or anything like that, all right? I'll share it with you guys. Okay, the other method that I wanted to show you guys was this one here. 2x squared minus 7x minus 4. Now everybody here has probably seen this before. This particular formula that looks like this. ax squared plus bx plus c. You must have seen it somewhere in the past. Okay? Basically, what it means is that you kind of match things up here. So a equals to 2, b equals minus 7, c equals negative 4. Is that okay, what I've done there? I've just matched up those numbers with the letters. So once I do that, this is the formula that will be extremely useful for you guys going from here, from this point to level 2 to level 3, possibly even into university. And that's the quadratic formula. It looks like this. You will remember it. Have you done it before? No? That's literally the formula. But I can't stress this enough. If you guys if you do more of this, you will remember the formula, and the working behind it becomes a lot more easier. Okay, I would actually even say to you guys, like, even if you guys spend a lot of time just learning this formula, it will help you in the long run. Because look what you can do. Because you've got b equals minus 7, so negative, b is equal to negative 7, plus or minus negative 7 squared minus 4. A is 2, c is minus 4, and the whole thing is divided by 2 times 2. All I'm doing is I'm just replacing the letters with the numbers. That's all I'm doing. Okay? And believe it or not, guys, you guys are not using calculators, so your answers should be nice numbers. If you don't get nice numbers, then you've done something wrong. Okay? So if I was to do this, I got minus and minus, which makes plus. So 7 plus or minus, negative 7 squared is 49. And I've got minus 4 times 2, which is 8. And then 8 times 4 is 32, but it's plus 32 divided by 4. Now remember, I told you guys will get nice numbers. So 49 plus 32 is 81. And 81, square root of 81 is 9. So you got 7 plus or minus 9 over 4. So your first answer, so you can actually say first answer is 7 plus 9 over 4. Your second answer is 7 minus 9 over 4. So if you look at the first answer, you got 16 over 4 and negative 2 over 4. 16 over 4 is 4. Negative 2 over 4 is half. If you can get up to here, that's pretty solid, because the next step that I'm going to show you is the easiest. So see how this is plus 4? You literally have to just rearrange it, guys. You got to go x equals to 4 and x equals negative half. And what you do here is you bring all the numbers to the left-hand side. So this becomes x minus 4 equals 0. This one would become 2x equals minus 1. And 2x plus 1 equals 0. And what you guys should see is, see that x minus 4? That's what we had up the top here. And see how this is 2x plus 1? That's there. And this formula will work for anything and everything related to quadratic. So you don't have to sit there need to do partial factorizing or guessing and checking or anything. You have this one formula in the yellow box here. You use that, you'll be absolutely fine. Can I give you guys a question like that for you guys to try yourself? Okay, I'm going to give you guys this one question to try today. So have a go with this question here. You can do it partial factorizing if you're comfortable with it. Guess and check, fine. Or if you want to use the quadratic formula, go for it. So the first thing I want to do is I want to write this as, I'm going to choose a different color, hold on. I write the formula down, which is ax squared plus bx plus c. Then I've got a equals to 6, b equals minus 7, c equals to minus 3. Okay? Once I do that, I copy the formula down, which is x equals minus b plus or minus b squared minus 4ac over 2a. So I've got negative 7 plus or minus negative 7 squared minus 4 times 6 times negative 3. And all of that over 2 times 6. So I've got 7 plus or minus 49. 6 times 4 is 24. 24 threes are 72 over 12 equals 7 plus or minus 121. Now remember, I told you guys, nice and easy numbers. So square numbers, square root of 121, if you... Do you guys know how to do the square root number trick?
Yeah, just remember.
Okay, I'll show you guys one other trick before we finish off today. So this will end up being 7 plus or minus 11 over 12. So you got x is equal to 7 plus 11 over 12, or 7 minus 11 over 12. So the first one is going to be 18 over 12. The second one is going to be negative 4 over 12. Really important that you factorize these numbers to as small as possible. So this is going to be 3 over 2 and negative 1 over 3. Now those two are the solutions, which means the factors, it's going to look like this. Cross multiply first. So you got 2x equals 3, and then 2x minus 3 equals 0. 3x equals negative 1. 3x plus 1 equals 0. So the two factors, 2x minus 3 and 3x plus 1. But just working with square numbers. Someone asked me once before, it's like, oh yeah, you can try and remember it. But the other thing is, watch this. If I tell you guys this, square root of 169. Now some of you might actually remember this already. Okay? What is it? Okay. Now there are some people here that might actually not know this. Right? But here's the hint that I'm going to give you guys. What I generally tell people is this. Always look at the last digit of the number, and that should give you a hint of what the square number is. Now think about it right like this. If I do 1 squared, it's going to be 1. 2 squared, 4. 3 squared, 9. 4 squared is 16. But I'm not going to write 16. I'm just going to write the last digit. 5 squared is 25. 6 squared, 36. 7 squared, 49. 8 squared, 64. 9 squared is 1 because it's 81. I'm just writing the last digits. 10 squared is 100. Guess what? When you go to 11 squared, it ends with 1. 12 squared ends with 4. 13 squared ends with 9. 14 squared ends with 6. All right? 15 squared ends with 5. So if you get a question like this, numbers. So if I tell you, find me the square root of 289. I don't want you to tell me what it is right now. But here's the thing. You can actually eliminate it because 10 squared is equal to 100. You know that 20 squared is equal to 400. Now the number you're looking for is 289, which is between 100 and 400. That means the square number is between 10 and 20. Now there's only two numbers that end with 9. That's when it's 3 or 7. So basically that means 289 squared, it could be either 13 squared or it could be 17 squared. You get it? And then you kind of just go, well, which number, is it closer towards 400 or is it closer towards 100, the 289? The 289 is closer to 400, isn't it? When the middle of 100 and 400 is 250 because that's the halfway point. This is actually more than the halfway point. So that's how I know that 289 is going to be 17 squared. A really cheap little way to remember square numbers. Okay? I will send you guys this link and I'll send you guys some more questions as well.